Life can change in an instant. For many wheelchair users, the struggle to push forward is a daily challenge.
After years of development and countless prototypes, we created Rib Grips, the revolutionary wheelchair hand rim covers with built-in ribs for ultimate grip and comfort.
No more slick surfaces, no more heat burns, just pure, reliable grip. Rib Grips, empowering you to push forward with ease. Rib Grips, get a grip on your freedom. Discover the difference. Visit ribgrips.com and use promo code GRIP today. You just found the perfect product that helps with staying cool during hot summer runs. No more gross warm water. Stay cool with this product from Gear Handle. This hydration tube cover helps keep your water cool and easily accessible. Stay hydrated during those long summer runs or even delay from freezing in the winter. Plus, they're compatible with various brands of water bladders and come in various colors. Visit gearhandle.com and use promo code H2O today.
This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Five.
Yep, you're good now.
Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Can you see me all right?
Do I need to?
Okay. No, you're fine.
Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Coming up here on The Payoff, it's a callback to one of our first shows ever. Gordon Harriman, a man who means so much to me and my sobriety, and a guy who gives it away to keep it. He's actually giving it away to keep it on the Rogue Media Network with a new podcast. It's called Facing the Mirror. You can get it Fridays, wherever you get your podcasts, but you're going to stay right where you are, and you're going to listen to Gordon and I talk about recovery. We go all over, and it's a lot of fun. And the message here, again, I can tell you guys I feel a lot better having had my conversation with Gordon just here moments ago than I did before. And I think you'll feel the same way if you check it out. All right, Gordon Harriman coming up next. But first, Kevin Souza. All right, we're sitting here with Gordon Harriman, who now, I mean, last time I talked to you on this podcast was 2021, I think. It was early 2021.
Yeah, it just iced over. You remember?
Yep.
Yeah.
So it was early 2021, and since looking at you physically, you've certainly thawed out. You look, I mean, you must. How much weight have you lost since that?
Oh,
time?
Probably 50 to 60 pounds. Wow. I went into a doctor's appointment, and he did it was a yearly physical, and he came back in, and I've taken stuff like for blood pressure, and you always talk about the heart, and he goes, "You have diabetes in your family?" And it caught my attention. I went, "No." He goes, "You're pre-diabetic." And it just, I want to put you on metformin. And I went and took it about a week, and it just didn't sit well with me. And so I just stopped, like alcoholics do. But I knew I could work our program around my life because it worked before, right?
Yeah, so it's so interesting. And we're going to talk about your new podcast, Facing the Mirror. Episode 1 is out now. You can get it wherever you get your podcasts, and of course, on the Rogue Media Network. But you applied the 12 steps, the principles of our group, right? Of AA to, hey, how am I going to manage this? Well, it's become unmanageable.
And it was. I mean, the snacking, the stuff I ate, it was so identical to alcoholism. I really don't need that whole bag of chips, but I started and I can't stop. And I was a late night snacker, and everybody goes to bed, and Netflix comes on, you grab a bag of Doritos and hit it, and candy or God, it was like a spree. Now that we're talking about it and all of that, that's my disease, right? Anything that feels good, I want more. And the lines get crossed. So I just changed my life, changed how I ate, what I ate, when I ate, and had to realize that the amount of food I was eating is not necessary to be healthy and have the energy.
How was, I guess, a lot of alcoholics, right, in recovery, I say we because I'm part of this thought process. It's like, hey, I'm not drinking a fifth of Jack Daniels a night. I'm not snorting an 8-ball. Hey, let me go ahead and drink or drink some sodas and eat some Doritos, right? But there still is something going on in your mind where you said it, like your energy's better, right? Like to be the best you can be, like there are ways to cut out some of the nonsense that I have a story I tell myself, right? That I can do this because I don't do that.
Yeah.
You know?
And it doesn't matter if you're thin or you're obese or whatever. If you're putting poison in your body, it doesn't discriminate. Obviously being lazy and doing all that like I was caused other issues, physical interaction. I quit playing golf and stuff like that. And the things I really love. And I do deep down like to isolate and have my own little world and watch Scarface and fantasize about that life. Like, dude, if I could just get to him, but then what happens at the end?
Yeah.
Dude, he can't keep it together, right?
Yeah.
And a guy that is no longer with us at Triangle was a real good, stoic guy that would never interfere. But if you wanted real life and how he's done his journey, you sit down and talk to this guy. And I'll never forget, I was trying to quit dipping. And it was harder than quitting smoking, quitting drinking. And he goes, a mentor of mine quit smoking one day at a time, and that was 30 years ago. So when this doctor let's throw some medicine at this, and my thinking is, okay, they're going to give me this medicine, and so it'll counteract, and I can still do the things that I was doing. I'll throw a line with the amount of alcohol, and that'll even me out, and I can drink more, right? I mean, so my wife got on the same page, not for health, but to feel better. And her goal was, I want to be able to get on the ground when we have grandkids, and it's stuff like that I'm starting to realize this isn't about me anymore. It's not about Gordon anymore. It's how Gordon is, because there's a whole nother chapter. Douglas, my oldest son, whenever they start having kids, I want to interact with them. And we quit drinking for that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the lucky ones.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask you about the, just what happens when early on in this process, like you get a craving, like you want to have that bag of Doritos. Like, how did you quit one day at a time?
Man, it was because I was all in and I was committed. I didn't knee-jerk react and say, I'm just going to wipe everything out in one day.
Yeah.
I knew the process of the 12 steps with alcohol. You may relapse.
Yeah.
Most people do.
Yeah.
But keep coming back. It's
true. Yeah.
And how many times have you just not wanted to roll in and let those guys see you again? And you build this deal up and it keeps you out there longer. And from my perspective or whatever, and they're always happy to see you.
Yeah.
Damn, Pete, where you been? Or damn, Gordon, where you been?
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, that's not the reaction I was expecting, but that's how it is in our fellowship every time you go.
And you get to meet new friends. I was back in Philadelphia going to this meeting I used to go to. This was like about a month and a half ago. And this guy who came back, right? And it was his first meeting back. And he shared, there's nothing better than, depends on who you ask, right? But it's very refreshing for all of us when somebody comes back and shares about a relapse.
Yeah.
It's powerful. And this guy did that. And because he had the strength to come back. Not only is he helping himself, and obviously he received a warm welcome, but as we always do, from the other people in the meeting, but also like I have a new friend now. You know, I was texting that guy the other day. Like it's amazing how in so many different ways, if we can just block out the noise, you know, all the itty bitty shitty committee, the dark passenger, whatever you want to call it. If you can get to God, right, and get all that stuff out, you know, like you said a moment ago, it's not about you anymore. You know, it's about you. You really are. Like you and I talked. We talked last night, and you're so humble. You have a hard time reckoning the fact that like you are helpful to people.
When that's a fantasy in my dry time. Like people go, God, you've been running this business. I hadn't been doing it. I created a person that I wanted y'all to respect, and I needed that for validation. But along the way, I've said it, and I think in our first podcast, I've just have something there that I've never been able to ignore, and it's the good side. And my mom was very instrumental in reminding me of that and trust that. And you're like, dude, I can't trust that. That's a whole nother fear issue. They'll only take that from you if you allow them. And sometimes I don't want to hear you tell me how helpful I am. That scares me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That little bit of success, or
I can relate. Yeah, that's it's. I feel like it's not real. Like I feel like when people compliment me or say that there's some kind of impact that I've had, whether it's through this or anything else I do, I get weird. Like it's a whole nother therapy session podcast, many therapy sessions. Like I struggle with like that kind of intimacy.
Well, like
big time.
Like me and you, you know, when I was at the Salvation Army,
yeah,
and you were speaking.
Yeah.
And I looked at my wife and I said, I want what he has, but let's be a part of Salvation Army, because you were so passionate. Well, come to find out, in my world and blinders, you had seen me in some meetings.
This is the day Gordon and I fell in love. It was how many 6-7 years ago.
Yeah, and you're complimenting me, and I'm telling you, and we're both uncomfortable.
I was emceeing an event at the Salvation Army, and Gordon was there. Drew Pearson was the speaker. It was great, and I got to interview Drew Pearson, but I got to introduce him. But anytime I ever speak, my go-to is to lean on the principles of Alcoholics Anonymous and lean on my story, because that's authentic. So, and I really hadn't been so out there with like my sobriety, but just a couple of nuggets I put in there because that really makes me comfortable speaking. And Gordon,
I nailed them.
And Gordon picked up on it. But see, the thing is, I had already seen Gordon in meetings that I had gone to. So it was like, it's just so cool. Like, and we connected after that, and this beautiful thing blossomed. But it's again, that goes with, you know, you don't understand, like anyone, like I mentioned, the guy coming back with no time or a day helps me no matter how much time I have.
Well, we know it's still out there.
Yeah.
And we know we're susceptible. And I need to hear that, because that's part of our program and fellowship is we learn how to use those horrible things, and almost we get to sort of laugh. But I know you're like this because we're pretty tight, that you see them in you and you know it's real, but we can share this because we know on the other side it's going to help somebody.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll never forget, after COVID and we did our deal and I wasn't going to meetings, and me and you had a conversation. I still know where I was. I was walking around my backyard, and I said, dude, I'm doing good, and this, that, the other. And you go, so fuck everybody else, right?
Yeah, because you hadn't been.
Well, you screw the newcomer.
Yeah.
And that.
Because you got something to say.
And that had an impact on me.
Yeah.
Now, how quickly I got back or whatever, but you planted that damn seed.
I'm the same way. It never happens like right away. but the seed gets planted. I mean, even when I got
and you
sober.
can't even hide from it anymore.
No.
You can't spin it away.
Yeah. And it's true when someone says something that maybe I'm not ready to hear, but need to hear, it's in there.
Or like when
it hangs out for a little and then I finally address it as a reality.
Well, in like the sponsorship role, when you get that first sponsee.
Yeah.
And you call your sponsor and you're like, dude, I can't do this.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna, and me and you used to have conversations about, I got this guy and what am I going to do? And from my perspective and what I see in you, I'm like, just be you.
Yeah.
But I can't hear myself tell me to just be you, Gordon. And I'm way more comfortable in that, but who am I?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, who are you? You're facing the mirror now, right? And so your first episode, which I listened to, and it's up now, it was about perspective, and you do it with Wesley, who was your therapist
and still is.
So when did this idea? I mean,
dude,
yeah,
that's out there.
Yeah,
don't you think?
Yeah. For sure.
But it's like these interactions me and you have.
Yeah.
We may not talk for a while.
Yeah.
But we pick up right where we were.
Sure.
And it's because I think we've been vulnerable. Mm-hmm. We've been real. And there's a common goal. When me and you are together, we're both better afterwards. Yeah. And I felt that with this guy. And our therapy sessions became like what me and you are doing.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, he's pitching stuff out there. And I'm like, therapists aren't supposed to let me in all the way. And we did. And I
See, that's a very sober mindset because other people, maybe even me, would think, shit, I'm paying this guy? You know, he's using me.
Well, and some days he was like, I almost feel guilty for and I'm like, no, dude, this is, for me, it's for free and fun.
Yeah.
And so I just kept marinating it. And then me and you met.
It's for free and fun. I like that.
Yeah. And that's why we go out and spread the message.
Well, when you started, and this goes back into Facing the Mirror, when you were one of the people who moved me to start the podcast about sobriety.
And I was going to say that.
It was you. It was my brother, Kevin. It was an ex-girlfriend, Christy Ramirez. God bless her. There were three people in my life that were like, hey, and Murph too.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't do this. And they were like, just do it. Just do it. And it really changed me more. Like that was doing that beyond my wildest dreams changed my life. I mean, in so many ways I couldn't even tell you.
Isn't it funny though?
Personally,
I could see
professionally,
that.
Yeah, I didn't see that.
And you're freaking. And I'm like, dude, you're on the news. You're calling. Yeah. I mean, this is your wheelhouse.
Yeah, yeah. But I hadn't even been calling games yet. I mean, there's all this stuff that has birthed out of the esteem that has come with the confidence to actually be like, you know what, I'm going to do this. And so when you saw that I had started to do it, then you start to think, you know what, like you've been on the corner walking around for a while thinking, you know,
what's
should
next?
Should I not? Should I?
Well, that's that deal we go to when we're trying to get all that crap out of the way and go, who am I? What am I going to do? What am I good at? Mm-hmm. And this is your dojo.
Yeah.
You know, this is just who you are. And you know it, but it's scary, you know, and I was always very good at having ideas. Hey, Pete, that's a great idea for you. And you're going, dude, you got something, whatever. And I'm going, that's just not my deal.
Yeah.
I'm a good visionary. Now y'all go implement it and I'll move on to the next thing. And that's instant gratification. That's not knowing who I am. And I think deep-rooted interaction with other people is my wheelhouse, man. I love it. In this environment, I'm all in. I'm really care about you, and I want what's best for you. And I'm not even in the equation, so to speak. For me, it's about Pete, mm-hmm. you know, and
well, see, you have an acumen that I know nothing about. Like you have your business, your ability to maneuver in the world of business is second nature to you. And you can be a bad dude in that setting.
Well,
you
thank
can.
you. Thank you.
You can. I like when I told Gordon once, we were talking about something, and Gordon's into commercial real estate. And it was something about a renegotiation of a contract. And I was asking you about work, and you go, I told the guy, man, shop me around. Shop me around. Basically, like, go ahead, dude. Like, do what you got to do. Like, I'm the best game in town, And I remember thinking, like, damn, that's, I really respected that and was impressed by that.
And I wasn't being that jack. I really wanted the guy to go do that because I know my product so well that we can beat most everybody's prices because it's a fourth generation business and we don't have as much debt and we don't have a bank telling me what my lease structure needs to be. And it worked out, and some don't, but I truly always believed if a tenant went and found something better and it bettered their business, I was really excited for them. That meant their business was growing, but it meant they started with us. Yeah. And so we have a part in that. And that's how we do the steps and sponsor, it's all of a sudden.
That's really cool.
And that's something that I have to realize is a gift. And that's maybe my gift. I wish maybe I could go out and dunk a basketball. That's just irrealistic. Unless you're lower about 7 feet.
Didn't Don Mikowski call you Hoopin' Harry at Fort Union?
Yeah, but man, that was just because I was the only other white boy out there just trying to mix it up with these guys. Yeah. But I always like to be a part of a group. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And these things just blossom. I think my age, my perspective of things are changing. And it's less about me and it's more about what can I do? How can I make this interaction better? For Pete, how can I support Pete being supportive all in? Not like for, hey, Pete, plug me when you make it to the big time. Yeah. It's not about that. It's watching somebody do something they're passionate about and they're good at. Mm-hmm. I learn from that. I learn how to navigate with humans because I love them. Yeah.
Well, and so that's how you end up, with Wesley doing this show. And, for people who don't know, and remind me, how did it come about exactly? Because the backstory and the context is really cool.
Yeah. It just, I knew that day when I blew him off 3 or 4 times. You get back from treatment and you have this punch list they tell you to do immediately. What do? We just don't do it and try to marinate it some more. And we just got out of the setting that made us feel better. But now I'm in the real world. So I show up. He's in the National Lloyd's building and he's not an early morning person. I am. It took me a long time to figure that out, but I am. And he goes and before we started, he goes, if you're committed to this, I will make arrangements and I'll make a standing appointment at 8:30. But if you're not, then I don't get up this early or something just black and white. And I go, I think me and him are going to get along just fine, and I committed to something because I felt comfortable with him, but I also knew I needed it. And if I'm going to go through this process that we do and the steps, there's going to be some stuff that comes out that a sponsor may not know what to do with. And if I didn't have a therapist, and I'm talking about the emotional, the childhood trauma that we carry, and it just made this process of the 4th and 10th step of divulging who we are okay. I could meet my sponsor, we could uncover this, and then I could go to him and we could talk about it. And I could realize everything that led up to that and therapist and the rehab I went to. That's how we have to deal with this, is process it. And at the end of that, I got to realize my parents were just doing the best they could. No one sets out to intentionally hurt a child, but they taught me how to not to clean up the wreckage of how I was behaving when I started having kids. My go-to was scream and yell like my dad.
Yeah.
Period. End of story. And I realized, because of doing all this work, that what would I have wanted my dad to do?
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me.
Yeah.
And I try to do that. And I'm getting better at not being reactive, because Wesley and I touched on it. When you're emotionally invested and you're all in, it's fear, anger, rage. That's how that process went for me. And I couldn't live like that anymore. I told you that story about the incident in my house with my youngest son, and I didn't have anywhere in my mind to go, but I went to an AA meeting, and I sat at the coffee bar in Triangle, and y'all told me to tell y'all where I'm at. So everybody that walked, hey, are you today? I didn't hit my son. But next, I know how I did it this time. It won't work next time, because I won't have that feeling to, I don't know, man. Don't you remember that anger? And then it would release that stuff, and you're like, God damn, that feels good.
I mean, look, it happened to me last night. I hadn't been to a meeting in almost a week.
So dry.
Right? Dry.
I get you.
Dry. And was just squirrely, irritable. Frank, my buddy from AA, he said, I love it. He says this, if I don't go to a meeting for a while, or for a few days, I start to feel it. If I don't go for longer than that, everybody starts to feel it. And I was there last night, and I got in my car and went to a meeting, and it completely changed the trajectory of the rest of my evening, my interactions with my girlfriend, who is deserving of nothing but the best version of me, Right. So if I give a shit about her, I need to, which I do,
it's not
I'm in
on
love with
her.
Yeah.
It's on us.
Yeah, it's on us. So, there's a lot of, I know exactly what you mean.
What do you think that is? Because we all have a common goal, and everybody's just, don't you feel something when you go back?
Oh, well, I always believe that for me, it is the act of not taking myself so seriously. Because if I walk into a meeting, I'm right away, I'm issuing a decree to myself, because nobody else fucking cares, is that I don't have all the answers. And a good bit of them, if not all, are right in here. And when I say in here, I don't mean the brick and mortar I'm walking into. I mean this program, this whole thing. So by getting back and getting plugged in, I start to find my way right back to
who Pete was really meant to be.
Yes.
Who Gordon was really meant to be. And the program tells us, find out who God made you to be, right?
Yeah.
Damn, that's sobering, but me and you don't click like this unless we have this thing.
Yeah.
And that's who God made us to be.
Yeah. And you mentioned that, that anger, how we get there and stuff. And it can get much worse, right? You can end up getting drunk, or you can end up dry for a very long time.
Mine was so subtle, I didn't even think about drinking.
Yeah.
Or any of that.
Doesn't mean,
it was more, it just led to destructive behavior. How I showed up deflated if I was in one of those funks. And I knew it. I could go somewhere with the and just suck it out and not even say anything, Go on a family vacation and be so wrapped up in myself that at the end of it, I went, that really wasn't fun. And I don't think my family had too much fun, but my wife has a good way of going, that's on him. I'm going to go enjoy myself.
Yeah.
Well, think of me and you, and that pisses you off.
I always say, I tell any newcomer, anybody that's been around for a while, and there's way more to this program than meetings, but they sure help a shitload. And if you're on vacation,
go to
a meeting. I mean, if you want to experience if you want to have the best experience you can on vacation with people who might be not acting exactly the way you want, they might be drinking. I want to feel the best I can when I'm on vacation. The same reason I used to have a couple of drinks, right? AA does that for me. It brings me to that next level. That's why I keep going.
I would always feel guilty. Like
Yeah.
I'm on vacation. I need to give them the time.
Yeah.
And I don't think they cared. So I went and found a meeting.
I still do that sometimes. And it's to my own detriment that I think that these people need me more than I need a meeting, which is the exact opposite. Again, you're just believing some of your BS. All right. So back to, I want to try to stay on topic here. Facing the mirror. So you're seeing Wesley, clearly something is starting to happen there. And how do you move forward towards this podcast, this idea becoming a reality?
Well, it's like me and yours interaction. I just felt something, and I didn't know, that's just an example, but I just felt something different. And all of a sudden, a therapist is divulging what's going on with him, and like not in so much therapeutic language, with language I could understand. And we just built this little process up. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, this is not normal in a good way.
Yeah.
And how can me and him give this to more people that may not be able to go to therapy or whatever? And I watched your process and I went, maybe this is something I need to really pay attention to and pray about. Because when was that? You said when it was in
2001. It was the winter of 2001. Yeah, or 2021. Sorry.
2021. So what is it? 3 years later?
Yeah,
but
more than that.
But that's AA.
Yeah,
don't rush into it, because every time I do, I blow it up.
Yeah,
and the process happened, and I sold him on it. I didn't sell him on it. He knew, because he had done some things during COVID that further made me go, if you're video and recording these readings, there's something bigger there.
Yeah.
And he stopped doing it, life, whatever. And I talked to my wife, I really sought her, because she's methodical. She doesn't emotionally react. And it just was the process. And then God jumps in, and you call me for lunch, and you go, dude, I'm going to Rogue, and this is what before me. And I'm like, dude, one, let me just say to everybody listening, we stole this guy, and he's in Waco, and he makes, I'm just saying it, on the news, whatever your journey is, you didn't go back to Philadelphia. And I don't mean that as selfish. I know I'm better because Pete stayed in Waco, whatever that means. And I know a lot of people are.
Yeah. Well, and thank you for saying that.
Well, I mean that because you're a huge part of why I'm sitting here.
Well, and I'm better because, and it's bigger than me. I mean, God, like God, the universe kept me here through certain opportunities and through relationships, and I'm right where I'm supposed to be.
And so I bounce all this off of you, and you're like all in, and all of a sudden you started helping me.
It's the same deal. It's such a no-brainer. I'm like, come on.
Well, see, and I'm telling you at lunch, dude, this is a no-brainer, and you're like, is it? Is it really? Because me and you are used to just going, man, I'm going to go buy those new Jordans because they'll make me feel better.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, damn, if I had that suit, people would take me more seriously.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, just be you. You told me, just give me Gordon.
Yeah. Well, that's right. I said last night, because I listened to your first podcast, which is awesome. And it really was insightful. And I like how you guys stuck to, the topic of perspective. But I did notice you holding back sometimes, like we all do, like I do. I have a show I'm doing down the hall in a little bit that I do every day. And I notice myself sometimes, I'm walking a tightrope. I call games for ESPN. I want to continue to be a representative of the sober community. I also want to be as an informed host that's talking about sports or whatever topic I'm wrapping my brain around or trying to. And at the end of the day, it's like,
just be authentic.
Be
Who
you.
the hell? Yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't get twisted off. I think I thanked you.
Yeah.
You know, and I guess in the back of our minds, we're still going, is that really who I am? And I know today that, yes, I'm vulnerable. I don't need to hide from that. I just need to learn how to not let it personally affect me. And I know today that if Pete or anybody that's close to me affects me negatively, it's because I let you, and that we couldn't talk about it. It was like the example I used of the name of the show. My go-to is like, dude, he saw how happy I was and he couldn't get behind that. But what I realized through having Wesley as the guy that's doing this with me, let him, he has the problem, Gordon. What's your problem? Well, I like shit happens or whatever the damn thing was. No, that's good shit.
Yeah.
And that's all I couldn't even try to pretend on something else. So I waited.
This is the title we're talking
about.
Yeah.
And coming up with the name, and I'm doing all this crap that's out of my wheelhouse. I'm Google searching how to come up with a podcast name, and I've got my notebook, and my wife's going, dude, just call him. And I'm like, how dare you, and I need that. And so I go, hey, dude, if you're uncomfortable with that, let me share. I got a roadblock. This
is Wesley.
Yeah. And I'm like, dude, we wrote this badass song and you're telling me okay, I need you to do it and submit it. Well, I didn't say it like that. I was like, I can't move past it, man. I'm sold on shit happens.
You had writer's block.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not a writer.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I'm going, oh my God, these artists that write these songs, how do they live like this? Because that's a fantasy. I said, man, if I could
Because you wanted the title to be That's Good Shit. He wasn't totally behind it. So he's like, I don't know.
I don't know how to play with that name. And I don't, and all of that. And then bam, the mirror deal, facing the mirror. And I went, my God, that's perfect. And I was all in. And that showed
Why
me.
is facing the mirror perfect?
Because I love mirrors because I want to check myself, but they're real. Those days I go in and I'm just like, man, I'm just not feeling it. And screw it, I'm not going to shave and screw the hair. But I know it's there because I saw it. I can't even hide from a dark mirror.
Yeah.
My eyes are just, I think for me, it's a mirror into side of me. It's a mirror to my soul. And I've spent too much energy, too much negativity that I've allowed in to ruin this part of my life, period. I'm not going to walk around miserable all day. If it's raining, look through the rain and the sun's there. Mm-hmm. And I know that's way out there, but
last night was one of those nights, dude, where it was raining here in Central Texas, but you could still see the sun getting ready to break through off in the distance.
Well, we went to dinner and it just dumped with the friends of the Bowens, who are, God, they are such a big part of how this podcast happened too. And Jim Bowen was like my surrogate father, and because he was really tight with my dad. And he knew this, and they accepted me when I moved here as part of their family. I got to watch Wade Bowen, whose song we're using, who let us grow up in all of this. And so we went to dinner with him last night, and it just dumped. And I meant it, and I said, Susan, pull up, because she was driving. It's better that way, because she likes to critique the way I didn't need the pressure with the pouring rain and all that. So I said, get out and I'll park the car and meet y'all. And I got drenched, and it wasn't that big a damn deal because I was with those people. And that's how I feel in AA, in a meeting. I can come in there, ass showing. I think you like that. Yeah. I've heard you say that. Yeah. And just drenched. And y'all are like, damn, where have you been? It's good to see you. And you're like, man, it's good to see you. And you forget. I don't want to be drenched on a dry day, you know?
Oh, yeah.
That's exhausting. To just muddle through life. This is not what we signed up for. And the promises and all that in the big book tell us not to do that. And my go-to is, well, Pete, if you really knew what was going on, you're like, dude, shut up and just be yourself.
Yeah.
You know, I need people like you because I need to realize that you wouldn't have said that if you didn't care about me.
Yeah, no.
Period. If you didn't like me, you
Yeah.
didn't want to be around me, you wouldn't even have said that. Yeah, just
No,
fuck it
like
up.
I have people like that in my life, you know, you being one of them, but you know, Murph is another one where like,
Dude, you're y'all's little group.
yeah.
I'm
and my
connected.
brother's another one, and you're connected to it. And if one of those guys, because we're not negative people, I'm not looking, you know, as I became more comfortable in my own skin, I became way less tolerant of people that were consistently negative for no reason. You know,
You just won't let them in there.
I was just like, what? So I'm not like there's anybody in my
Right,
life like I
right.
made a concerted effort to
Or
cut
maybe what can I do to give them a little bit of positivity?
Totally.
Yeah.
But so now the people in my life, they're sort of in this rare air, right? Which a lot of times you call it the fourth dimension or whatever. We're in a program, we're sober, we're positive. And even my friends who aren't, they're just guys who have what I want pretty much for the most part. And so if one of those people is going to, and I'm not even going to call it strength, but just go out of their way to muster the sentiment to be like, hey, dude, like you're doing this wrong as I see it. That hits me right between the eyes because you don't want people who are going to tell you everything you want to hear, right? And when those people have those messages, and of course, like the way that certain people have, you know, my brother Kevin, he would deliver a message that would hit you right between the eyes, and he didn't give a shit, you know.
But he didn't do it belligerently, or he
Well,
may need
maybe
to
he
sometimes.
did, but that was his thing, and it got through to me. Like,
Right,
that,
right.
And so like that was people have different ways, and you start to become accustomed to the fact. Okay, Kevin, his bedside manner is horseshit, but his feedback is unbelievable. That dude got me out of so many bullshit situations.
Because you knew
I
he
was
loved
in.
you, right?
100%. And so, but what I'm saying is, I'm around people who, when they give me the direct hit, that I know that I need to. This is important that I listen to this.
And that was what I felt with Wesley.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Dude, you're fixing to hear the dark side. And there was a couple of moments that I said, dude, I had only one goal, to stay sober longer than 13 years. That's my dad, only lasted 13 years, and live past 46.
So how old are you?
I'm 57.
And how long you been sober?
33 years. But I had no script. I had no, what does this mean? And that was 10 years past all of whatever this was. And I told Wesley that. I said, I need you to help me with this new roadmap for me. I don't know what a family looks like. I came from a divorced family. I don't know what this looks like. And he goes, you're in it. Chart your own course. And I'm like, and so the time went on during COVID. I just saw a need that everybody's sheltered in. And some of us, me included, got okay with it because AA gave me a perspective to deal with outside stuff I can't control.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when y'all opened the world back up, I didn't come out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was okay because it was a weird thing for me that I sort of became the housewife. And I watched my mom do that, and I'm good at it. And I did it without being pissed off that everybody left their clothes. I just did it. And finally, my son and a couple other people like you said, dude, get out here. We're opened up, man. What about the newcomer, Gordon? And that, you said, so fuck everybody else.
Yeah, you got yours.
You
So
got
fuck
yours and
everybody
you're
else.
locked. Well, I don't want, what do we do? You got to give it away to keep it. Well, fuck, I don't want to give this away. It's mine.
Yeah.
And I knew better. But I knew you said maybe people miss you. Maybe I miss you, Gordon.
Yeah.
Well, Pete, you're on this fast track. You don't even think about me. But you do.
Of course, yeah.
And I think of you, but it's not all for me.
Yeah.
Because I want to watch you grow and I learn from that. And it's just awesome.
Yeah. This show, what are you looking to accomplish with it?
I really believe that we came up with, I just don't know anybody else that has their therapist on a podcast with them. And the therapist is willing to do it.
Yeah.
And he knows I'm unscripted, you know, and I'm gonna be real. And he facilitates that. He likes that. And I thought, what about the people that are still locked in? What about the people that can't physically come to a meeting?
There are a lot of people, forget lockdowns or being physical. A lot of people are just scared. And that's one of the reasons that was the movement behind my thing was like, because before I got sober, I would watch sports documentaries or stuff about guys who had gotten sober, and that gave me hope. I knew that I couldn't stop drinking. I knew I had a problem with drugs, and I had no fucking clue how to shut it down.
Yeah.
But I saw people, because I was too scared to go to a meeting because I didn't want to stop drinking.
Well, or you don't want those people to see you.
No, exactly. So you're saying the same thing where you can kind of play peekaboo with a solution, and then all of a sudden peekaboo becomes, all right, I'm going to really attack this. But you know, your message on this podcast with Wesley has the ability to do that. Your format, right? Like, are you guys reading? So the first one, there's a reading, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so give me an example. Go ahead, pick up.
So it's out of the book, The Language of Letting
All right, read
Go.
today's reading.
Okay.
Do you mind?
It'll
help me.
Well, it's okay. Well, that's going to be our show.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, but that's cool.
Oh, yeah. It does. Yeah.
It's revenge. No matter how long we've been recovering, no matter how solid our spiritual ground, we may still feel an overwhelming desire at times to punish or get even with another person. We want revenge. We want to see the other person hurt the way he or she has hurt us. We want to see life deal that person just rewards. In fact, we would like to help life out. And that's just the top part of it. But in our program, that's called playing God.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Those are normal feelings, but we do not have to act on them. These feelings are part of our anger, but it's not our job to deal justice. And I can leave it there because we can.
What is that from, by the way, that book?
It's this Melody Betty off of the Hazelden production through Betty Ford deal wrote this book. And it's just daily meditations on codependency. And the facility I went to is a Pia Melody format, who's Miss Queen of codependent.
Yeah.
And if you're stuck like me and you are, I'm codependent, you know? And so these messages hit home, and we flooded our friend group with them, and that people were dying for this stuff.
So you and Wesley flooded your friend group?
Yeah, he would post them on Facebook, and the reaction, and he always gave me credit because I sent these as part of.
And then people started to think you were writing them.
Yeah, and I had to be honest, and I'm not that good of a writer. But what about the guys in the program that we're in that uncover the childhood trauma aspect, that can't afford to go to a therapist? Well, plug in with me and Wesley, and we'll give you an hour.
Yeah.
He'll give you an hour of his time from a therapeutic session to heal.
So this is, and I'm not trying to pigeonhole you, but is this a podcast about codependency?
No, I think it's life.
Yeah.
You can't put a title on that. How many people have we wanted to go, if he'd just get what was coming to him, you know, character assassination, you know, all the stuff we do. So I think my thing is, I don't want to pigeonhole this. This is for an average businessman or housewife that's struggling with these inner demons. that is, what do I do with them?
Mm-hmm.
What do I do with these feelings I'm starting to feel guilty about? Did I even want a family? I'm speaking to me. I'm not a good father. Dude, those are just feelings of any parent probably has some thoughts like that when they have their first kid, and I don't think I'm alone. There's people in my friend group that don't have addiction issues that may be codependent or may just need to hear just somebody else's take on it and let them know I feel like that too. And I got all these years and I got all this stuff doesn't mean nothing.
Yeah.
What am I doing with it today?
I love how you guys, that's when you guys had me at that. When you talked about you were going to read something from this, which is recovery-based literature.
Yeah.
And something like that too. I was like, wow.
But there's CODA. There's Codependence Anonymous.
Yeah.
There's a program for that. I learned that in ours. So it's all intertwined.
Yeah.
And if you got one, you got mostly.
So you read that, and then you.
I do what I do, and then the idea was now he can put that in his language, and focus on that, and talk like a therapist.
Yeah.
But he doesn't talk like a therapist, but he does, but he doesn't, to me. But I think people understand that. I think there's always good to have some guy that's wide open, and then somebody to take that and not demean them, but put it into some format. Mm-hmm. And like you said, he let me share my experience. Then he brought it back to the topic, and he had a solution.
Yeah.
From a therapeutic side.
Yeah.
And it's happening organically, and it's happening. That's AA. That's God. That's because we brought God into this. And if that is overwhelming for somebody, name yours whatever you want it to be. Something that's bigger and better than I am.
Well, all religions have one thing in common. They all send their drunks to Alcoholics Anonymous.
Well, where else? And what about the person that is like, if AA doesn't accept me, what the hell else is there to do? No, we're all inclusive. No, you're not, but we are. Mm. And if somebody's in there that needs to go this direction, we learn how to lovingly guide them there. You don't just call them out, and it doesn't. That's never happened to me.
Yeah.
I've never been reprimanded like a kid. I've been politely guided to somewhere else and say, here's where that could go wrong. Let's try this, Gordon.
Yeah.
Okay. I know y'all love me. Y'all say you do. So I'm going to trust you, Pete, and I'm going to explore this and see what happens.
Yeah. And it's, give us a chance to show you that love is real. We will.
We'll love you back to hell. We'll love you till you can love yourself again.
Yeah.
And that's the message. I don't have to spend every waking moment with you.
Yeah.
But I sure as hell need to give you some attention when we interact, because that's what we're supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
And
you are supposed to let it rip with this pod.
Let it
rip. That's what I say. I want to hear you.
You're like, fuck it.
Well, you got to trust yourself.
Right.
That's what I say.
In a good way.
Yeah, in a good way.
So you want me to let it rip?
Yeah. I'm telling you, because that's what, I wrestle with the same thing. I wrestle with the same exact thing. But if I am inspired by pure intentions, right? By pure motives, if that is what is moving me, then I'm going to be okay.
Some of the coolest, and I know we're short on time, but some of the coolest things I've listened to you call games, and then the times I got to watch you, there's something that we all experience, like on a good basketball play. But dude, that's what I love about Pete, because it's like, he just brought, but we do that in recovery, man. Yeah. Did you see that guy? He just ripped the freaking goal off. I want what that guy's got.
Yeah. Yeah.
That raw. And
or this guy, and I'm talking about myself, walked in here 10 years ago like a complete mutant, and look at him now. that to me is like, and then you say, "Oh, look at this guy." I mean, is this not unbelievable?
He's in. Yeah,
you
you got
came
the
in here
voice.
looking like Frankenstein, And so it's pretty cool. Like, and I found that joy, right, in the rooms of recovery. That joy is real, and
It sets you up how to bring that to not just AA.
Yeah.
If you're at a Big 12 game and you're passionate, bring it there.
Sure. I mean, sure. People appreciate it, and it's that good energy that is contagious.
Okay.
Yeah, it really is. And also, I've had my boss, my big boss at ESPN. I remember he was at a game in April. It was an NIT game on ESPN2, and he came to the game. It was in Tampa, and I said, hey, we got a great one here from Tampa, come on back. And he came out at halftime and he put his arms on my shoulders and he said, did we have a great one? I was like, He goes, is this a great game? I was like, nah, maybe not. He's like, don't oversell it to the audience. Like they're going to know. And it was a great interaction where he was just like, it was a very teachable moment. And I loved it. I was so that wasn't authentic. That wasn't like AA like Pete. That was like salesman Pete.
Okay.
And so just again, being real, you can't go wrong.
Well, I think I asked.
Because trust in myself, I'm not going to be like, well, this game is horse shit. That's just not how, I don't talk about that with anything really.
Well, have there ever been bad meetings? Really?
I mean,
there's been some uncomfortable maybe, but
those are the best. I mean, honestly, like when somebody
so we don't go out and say, man, this is a horse shit meeting. Don't go to that group.
Yeah.
That's just, So I understand what you're saying, but I thank you.
Yeah.
Because I asked you, this is your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
It's not mine. And because I know you have my best interest at heart.
Yeah.
And so I need people in my life like that. Mm-hmm. And you to be honest with me and tell me how maybe you think it should go, that I'm missing the point. And I know that you love the idea and the people involved. So I'm going to trust that.
Yeah.
And I need that in my life. Because I can get out there and listen to Pete tell me what an awesome businessman I am. Well, okay. And just go off on a whim. And that's not who I am.
Yeah. Facing the mirror. Gordon and Wesley, baby.
All right,
taping
man.
it today. It comes out Friday.
When are you
Fridays.
coming on?
Whenever you want. It comes out Fridays every week,
ready
wherever
to
you
look
find
in the
your
mirror,
podcast. Sometimes I'm like you, I don't want to, but that's why we do these exercises.
Right.
All right, Gordon Harriman, thanks so much.
Thanks, Pete.
Thanks so much for listening to The Payoff with Pete. Once again, I'm Pete Souza. And of course, we are part of the Rogue Media Network. All kinds of good podcasts you can find at roguemedianetwork.com. And of course, you can find this podcast and all those other ones wherever you get your podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, other spots like that.
This has been a Rogue Media Network production. Are you a podcaster? Let's talk podcast hosting. Are you tired of your current podcast host? Need real support in a community that gets it? At Rogue Media Network, we offer top-tier podcast hosting services to help you thrive. From hosting and distribution to dedicated support, we've got you covered. Starting as low as $25 a month. Join our community of passionate podcasters today. Contact us at hello@roguemedianetwork.com.